means Anton Turkalj made a list with Fight Night picks that you don't want to make. He was at the bottom of the MMA nickname tier list. It's the pleasure man, Anton Turkalj, and he's making a second time out in the UFC, taking on Dana White's Contender Series Week 7 main eventer, Vitor Petrino, a guy who knows knockout finishes. And for Petrino, he rematched with Bellotto in that main event fight. The first time they fought, he knocked him out. The second time out, he knocked him out. But he withstood some adversity in that one. Won the majority of the first round. Straight shot through the guard. Sent Petrino down to the canvas. He followed it up. And at the end of the round, he was pounding away with ground and pound. The second round starts. He goes out there. He does more of the same. And he gets the finish. And for Petrino, you know him for that power. And if you look at his career, he fought a poor level of competition on the regional scene all the way up to the time that he fought Gadzhimurad Antigulov, and he goes out there and finishes him. So a wild one, he takes him down, he does everything he needs to do to beat Antigulov, and then he ends up on Contender Series, gets the win, and the rest is history. But when you look at it for both of these guys, where Petrino didn't face a high-level competition, Turkalj was brought up the right way. Like 11-3 as an amateur, 2017 IMMAF European champion. He fought for the Asian Championships. He then fought for the European Championships again. And as a pro, he hadn't tasted defeat until he ended up in the UFC against Jailton Almeida. And we saw him withstand adversity on the regional scene. We saw him go out there and take on Acacio dos Santos on Dana White's Contender Series Week 1. He takes him down over and over and over again. But we don't remember him for that performance.
No, we don't.
We just remember B. Joe Pyfer because Dana White wasn't pleased by anything the Pleasure Man brought out. And Turkalj was high on himself. The pre-fight promo package was really, really high on himself. I got the look. I got the finishes. I trained with Gustafsson and Shamaev for years. I'm ready for this. And it was a good win, but it wasn't the one that gets butts in seats.
Exactly.
So Turkalj, they give him the short notice call. A catchweight at 220, which most would have said, hey, just have him fight at heavyweight. But he goes out there against Almeida, gets taken down, gets submitted in that one. So, listen, water off a duck's back to me in a performance like that. But you look at this one, Matt, Turkalj with the striking, not to Petrino's level. Petrino, will he withstand the takedowns in this one? This is one of those Clash of Styles fights, and I'm really looking forward to it in the light heavyweight division.
It should be a great fight, because I do think Turkalj can match some of what Petrino does on the feet. Like, I don't think this fight's going to be a complete wash in the striking. Yes, I do favor Petrino. I know that's what you're getting at, but again, I don't think it's just, if they're on the feet, Petrino's going to win all of those moments. I do think the fight will be somewhat close in some of those areas, but Turkalj is going to have an edge in the wrestling. But what Petrino did show, and I'm glad you brought it up in the Antigulov fight, was he can go for his own offensive takedown, and he's not some fish out of water on the mat. He is a decent grappler. Now, if Turkalj gets in that top position, of course I'm going to favor him in a lot of those positions, in a lot of those moments, but I think this is going to be one of those fights where if Turkalj can't get the initial takedown, he's going to really struggle on the feet afterwards. But if he can get past Petrino's initial takedown defense and actually get him flat on his back, then we might see Turkalj actually get past the full guard, get into half guard and land damaging shots. But the thing is, Petrino doesn't only have power on the feet, he has speed to match, and that's a very unique combination for the light heavyweight division. Now, both these guys are pretty big, and I would say both these guys are good athletes for the division too. They both have pretty good speed on the feet, they both have pretty good speed on their takedown entries, but I was very impressed by Petrino on Contender Series, and I was really impressed by what we saw on Contender Series as well. So I'm very interested to see what we're going to get at the UFC level, because at 25 years of age in the light heavyweight division, still a young guy for the division, and still has tremendous upside. And in a division that's as light open as light heavyweight, because you bring up Antigulov.
A division is light open.
Sorry, it's wide open as light heavyweight. You bring up Antigulov, it's kind of wild. Gadzhimurad Antigulov was ranked after 2 wins in the light heavyweight division. Like, it really doesn't take that much to climb up all that fast. So for both these guys, this is a big opportunity on a huge fight night card.
And he fell like a sack of potatoes that Gadzhimurad Antigulov flew too close to the sun. When you look at this matchup, Matt, for Turkalj, like, you've had some fights, and I went back and I watched some of the Brave fights, because you got to get into that mindset of what brought Turkalj to the dance. And so I go through it. He missed a kick against Konstantin Soldatov. He misses that spin kick and then turns it into a spinning back fist and knocks him out. In his fight against Aslan, low hands and throwing kicks from distance. He goes in for the takedowns, rolls with the punches. Aslan, punch to clinch. Aslan takes him down. Aslan has success when he's on top. So to me, Turkalj lost the first round. But then in the second round, it starts off, and the first minute and a half, Turkalj's losing the first minute and a half. And then he ends up getting the takedown, elbows, and then out of it, he ends up getting the rear naked choke. He stands back, hold me back. The ref's got to hold him back. He's freaking out. So a big win for Turkalj. He took all that time off. And then he ended up on Dana White's Contender Series. He said in that pre-fight pre-pack, he turned down a lot of fight offers, and he really wanted to prove himself, whether it was in the UFC or Contender Series, got the short notice opportunity. But he, to me, if he loses this fight to Vitor Petrino, it's kind of like that Uncle Lucius song, Wolves are at his door, like.
I have no idea.
Turkalj's out there. You don't know that song?
No.
You've never heard that song?
You're acting like it's like Drake sang it.
It's a big song. It's a big song. Wolves are at his door. If Turkalj loses, and for Petrino, he's getting this big opportunity, but Petrino reminds me of a guy that just made a debut not long ago, where it was like, okay, in that one, he's facing a big-time, gatekeeper at this point. It was when Claudio Ribeiro went in and took on Abdulrazak Alhassan. It was like, Ribeiro's the hotness. Alhassan's been around for too long, and Alhassan just put on a veteran savvy performance and beat Ribeiro. To me, Petrino could be that guy. He's all the hotness, didn't take on a great level competition on the regional scene, got dropped on Contender Series only to come back and rally through and get the win. Will the takedown defense shine? Will we see that great balance that we've seen out of Petrino with his takedown defense on the regional scene? Or will Turkalj be able to go in? Maybe he doesn't have the greatest striking defense, but he has those chops to get the takedown. And his stick-to-itiveness in his fights have really kind of shone through as well for Turkalj. We'll see how it plays out. Petrino opened a decent favorite. The line's kind of shrunk on him, getting close to par. Turkalj's gained a little bit. We have a look at the Tapology votes, Matt. Surprise to us as they are to you. I'm going to say over-under. Where it's getting close, I'm going to say over under 62.5% Petrino.
I'll say over.
I'm going to say over, and it is over. So 607 total votes, 77% Petrino, 85% by knockout, the 23% that have Turkalj, 44% by decision, and then there's about an even split between the knockouts and the submissions there for Turkalj, who, when he gets you down, he makes you pay, and he can rinse and repeat with the takedowns, and I love just that steadiness out of Turkalj in these fights.
I do. I just think he's going to eat a lot of damage on the way in for some of those takedown attempts. And that's why I do have Petrino. I'll be interested to see how they do build Petrino because, again, younger guy, only 7-0, not a ton of experience. So this will be the best win on his record and one that you can definitely build on in the future. But I definitely do have Petrino in this match because I do like the upside of his striking. He's a guy who can match the power with the hand speed. For those reasons, I have him in the fight.
I'll go with Petrino. I like the fact that he mixes in the power shots and he'll toss that jab out there to then get the right hand, switch stances a little bit. So for me, I'll go with Petrino. Again, the level of competition before the Antigulov fight, not very good. And there's definitely some question marks, especially with the chin when you see Blotto land that straight shot through the middle. But he fought through adversity with Turkalj. The wrestling is so good, and he is so well schooled out of All-Stars and GBG MMA, which he represents as well. So a big-time matchup in this light heavyweight division. Both of us going with Petrino to get the win. Some big fights left on this card. Petr Yan taking on Merab Dvalishvili in that main event. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.